Hi guys, hello, how are you all doing? I hope the prep is going strong, and I'm very sure that you guys are gonna get a beautiful score, because I'm sure each one of you have put in a lot of effort, and I'm counting on all of you all to do really well in the exam, and I know you would. Anyway, I'm here to give you some last minute tips and techniques, some strategies that will help you navigate through the exam very confidently, right? So let's begin. A couple things I want to discuss with you. First, skimming passages. Focus on the main idea, tone. If you see any transition words, so that is, if you notice any shift in the argument, focus on that. You can make a mental note, or you can use your scratch paper to jot down your points. You don't need to jot down everything, every little detail, but a gist works. When I say gist, always start with the topic. What is the top passage about? Always you have to know that, irrespective of the question type. You have to know what the author wants to say to you. Even if it's not a main idea question or a big picture question, you must know what the main idea of the text is. Okay, and of course, if there's any transition word, you will make a note. Second, answer the questions as you read them. If you've invested some time to read a question, to read a passage, get done with it and then move on. In case if you got a quick scan and you understood, okay, this is a big picture question, or is a support question which will require more time, I want to go to a grammar question, I want to finish grammar and then I want to come back to this, that's fine. But if you've already invested a 30 seconds reading the passage, or a 30 seconds understanding the question, then it does not make sense to now mark it for review and then come back to it again, because you're just going to waste time, right? So answer the questions as you read them. You can jumble in between the questions. When I say jumble, within the section, you must first finish the vocabulary questions, grammar questions, and then move on to reading comprehension questions. Okay, that will help you save time, and that will also help you be more efficient. Okay, now for your vocabulary in context question. So remember, this is a it's for this question, actually not just for vocabulary in context question, for a lot of SAT questions in general, specifically vocabulary, but there are a lot of questions where you need to rely on the interpretation of the text as compared to the literal definition of the text. Okay, so whenever you are stuck, if you don't understand some jargons, if you don't understand some words, if it's too technical for you, look at the surrounding sentences, look for clues. You will always be given some or the other clue for a particular word, or a difficult word, or a jargon, or a scientific or a technical word, right? So the more you rely on context, the easier will it become for you to solve the passages. Next, grammar and sentence structuring. So for the grammar and grammar questions, right, do not rely on what sounds right, but ensure that you recollect all the rules that we've discussed in the session, specifically your subject verb agreement, pronoun questions, punctuation pronoun rules, punctuation rules, right, modifiers. Here in these kind of questions, if you rely on what sounds right, you will always end up getting the question wrong, because it is a major trap that they've laid out for you. So always ensure that you remember all the rules, and all the rules are applied correctly. Okay, if you see multiple questions testing punctuation, right, then punctuations is a topic. Then think about how commas, colons, semicolons are used. Now remember, irrespective of their core function, each of these punctuation mark also go one step further and have their own feature, their own function, right? See if that plays out in the passage or not. Okay, because every punctuation mark can change the meaning of the sentence completely, right? So you have to get it right. Next, this is something that will be applicable across the exam. In fact, even for your quant section, avoid overthinking. One of the biggest traps in the verbal section specifically is overthinking. If you find yourself second guessing something that you want to mark, trust your first instinct, just mark it. Okay, because this overthinking, the cycle of overthinking, once it kicks in, it becomes very difficult to move out of it, specifically during the exam period. And it's also very natural. You have put in so many months of work in it, so much of effort, so many resources, so you want to get every question right. You don't want to you don't want to fall into any traps. I understand that, but to manage and to navigate through those one or two difficult questions, constant overthinking, constant self-doubting will ruin all the other easy questions as well. Okay, so avoid that. In fact, don't even read too much in the question. So specifically for your inference questions, right? Inference related questions, support, undermine, text completion, all of these questions, remember the simplest answer is always the correct one. Okay, last couple points. This is regarding pacing and time management. Okay, do keep an eye on the clock. There would be a mechanism on the screen that would tell you how much time is left. Do keep an eye on it. Do not get so carried away in one or two questions that you end up costing the whole paper, okay, the whole test. Remember, every question has equal weightage, so it's not like if you invest more time or more energy in one question you will score more. It looks difficult, of course it will be a very important question, it will fetch me more marks. No, nothing like that. Every question is important. So even something that could have been solved within 30 seconds is important, so is something that would take up to 1.5-2 minutes, right? You just have to learn to manage your time in a way that you can carve out 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes for a question, while for some questions, then how would you do that? Then in that case, for some questions you have to finish them within 30 seconds. So those 30-second questions could be either your vocabulary questions or grammar questions. That I'm sure you guys would have strategized for yourself best. So do work on it. Do not leave out any question. Every question is important. There is no negative mark. So the only way you get penalized in this exam is if you do not attempt a question. If you don't attempt a question, you get direct, there is a direct chance. So if you attempt a question, there's a 25% chance you will get it correct. If you don't attempt a question, there's a 0% chance you'll get it correct. So always, what is better? Attempt. If you don't have time, you are barely left with a 2-minute time for 5 questions. At that point of time, maybe try doing smart work. You, of course, within 2 minutes you can't do 5 questions, or you have 3 questions left and 2 minutes are there on the clock. What will you do? Do smart work. If you cannot do the whole process and identify the correct answer, at least eliminate 1 or 2 answer choices and then make a choice between the two. So when you do this smart work, right, smart choice, smart decision making, what you end up doing is you reduce the possibility of you getting that question wrong. Okay, so always try for elimination even if you cannot solve the whole question. And the last thing, if you do find any question too difficult to solve or very confusing, move on for the time being, come back to it later on. Do not let that question eat up your time. Okay, so that is it from my end. One parting note that I would like to tell you is, at the end of the day, Verbal section tests how well you understand the language, how well can you structure the sentences, right? It is something that you have prepped all your life, right? So remember, it's just an aptitude test. If you think that it is anything beyond, and if you try to sit for hours mugging up rules and rote learning things and remembering patterns and whatnot, you will not do well, right? Because it's an aptitude test. It's really about the basics. It's about simply identifying the traps and not falling for it. And the best suggestion I would give you is focus on your health. If you are in a good state of mind, if you've had healthy food, if you are completely fit and fine, your brain, your mind, everything is there, in the exam you will not go wrong. Okay, but if you are distracted, if you are unwell, if you've not slept enough, if you're tired, all of that will be the biggest hindrance, right? So do not try to stay up the whole night and then attend the exam. Rather, sleep for 8 hours, have a good breakfast, have a good meal, and then take the exam. Trust your preparations, focus on the bigger picture, and stay calm. You've got this. All the best. Thank you for listening to me. I hope this really helps you guys.